So just in case, let me try hurting you in a different way. I hate you from the bottom of my heart. How's it going, YouTube? My name is Crimson, and welcome to Locke, a short game where you wake up tied to a chair across from a beautiful woman. I wake up. I had a good night's rest. In terms of my quality of sleep, I have nothing to complain about. I didn't have a nightmare, nor any other kind of dream for that matter. I haven't been this comfortable in a long time. And yet, the sight before me is something quite unusual to wake up to. Shoes. How often are feet the first thing you see upon waking up? Are these feet attached to a woman? I would wager it is quite a rare event. I cannot even come up with a scenario where this is likely to occur, except of course my own. Clearly, I am looking at a pair of shoes right now, so the probability must be non-zero. It suddenly occurs to me that feet are connected to people. I suppose they are. Oh look, the feet have someone attached to them. Isn't that an inconvenience? Host. Oh, thank goodness, you have come too. I have to admit, I was beginning to miss you. The person I've talked to previously was much less pleasant. My cheeks flush upon hearing an open declaration of affection from a beautiful stranger. Wait, stranger? She isn't a stranger at all. That's right, I've been longing to speak to her. How do you feel? Very good. I'm glad to find myself in so desirable company. The feeling is mutual. There is nothing I want more than to talk to you right now. Feel free to discuss anything in this room that catches your interest. I will gladly do so. Okay, so where do we start? Do we start the eclipse? The door? Can I talk to you? You don't care what I talk about. Okay, what's this? What is such an old computer doing here? Old? Do you characterize it as such due to its size? It is true that as technology advances, it becomes better at creating more efficient, smaller parts. On the other hand, if a modern computer is very large, we assume it to be proportionately powerful. But this computer's size has no correlation to its age, nor its computational power. It is built that way for a much more simple, if not primitive, reason. It is supposed to fit a human inside. Whoa, what do you mean? What? Is someone being kept there against their will? Of course not. There's no need to worry. It is merely an exhibition object. In fact, everything around us is but a buffet to provide us with topics to discuss. This computer in particular might be the most interesting. Are you familiar with the Chinese room argument? I don't think so. Would you care to explain it? Gladly. It is a thought experiment, so please open your mind to a hypothetical scenario. Suppose you do not know any Chinese and are put into this room. In that room, you find rule books that tell you precisely how to convert a given combination of Hanzi to a new string of characters. Occasionally, you will receive letters through a mail slot from the outside room. You write down answers according to the rule books and send them back out. Since you follow the rules diligently, your answers are perfectly Oh, I gotta do so much editing, guys. Sorry, I can't read today. Your answers are perfectly intelligible, and the people outside assume you are a fluent Chinese speaker. But are you? Evidently not, from looking at the characters alone. I have no means of learning to understand them. No matter how long I pursued this task, I would never become capable of speaking Chinese. Indeed, the human inside the room cannot speak Chinese, there is no question about it. And since the programming of computers is analogous to the rulebooks you use, it is supposed to show the same thing about them. That computers, no matter how well they can simulate understanding, do not have any. But there's one aspect about this thought experiment that has been seemingly overlooked. Namely, the person inside might still be capable of speaking some language. Clearly, you are brought into the room with an understanding of English, but you are never prompted or given the opportunity to use it. Judging you based on your Chinese ability is quite unfair. Being stuck inside the Chinese room would be pitiful and terrifying. So what if a computer also has its own native language? What if it even had feelings and needs, with no means of communicating them to the outside world? Even though the Chinese room argument is a mere thought experiment, It exposes a very worrisome fact about artificial intelligence. That is, if a computer somehow comes to attain emotion, it would be an existence of utter despair. While interesting, I do not think this is a real concern. It is highly unlikely that we somehow already discovered how to artificially create emotion. I admit that it is unlikely. It would be no exaggeration to call it a miracle even. Yet, we would have no way of knowing whether that miracle has already occurred. Said unlucky computer would suffer in silence, with no one ever considering that it might be in pain. Our language barrier is too strong. Tell me, would you put such a computer out of its misery? Initially, I'm inclined to say yes, but I can only notice its pain once it's communicated. By the time I realize that it is suffering, the language barrier would no longer exist. So at that point, the computer would no longer have to be alone. Then you would instead spend the rest of your life in its company. Perhaps that would be my moral obligation, yes. I see. Alright, host. So, are we in some sort of like spatial dimension here? Like, what's going on? Can I see your feet again? No? Okay. Can I click on you? Can I raise you up? No? Alright, what about the supernova outside, or the eclipse? The moon is quite beautiful today. How fascinating. Not many people would say that about a new moon. The full moon seems to be preferred by almost everyone. That may be so, but I believe the new moon has its own appeal. I was not disagreeing with you. To me, a new moon is the moon's most beautiful form. It is her most beautiful form because it is her true form. She appears silver to us when illuminated by the sun, but in complete darkness, she is freed from the sun's pesky influence. She can finally stand on her own. Do you believe the moon feels trapped? My question causes her to laugh. It is a beautiful, melodious laugh. The moon is but a celestial object. She cannot feel anything. But if I were to trade places with her, I would hate the sun with every fiber of my being. That I am certain of. All right. So you have some animosity towards us, if I'm reading this correctly. Is she like the moon that, we only come here to see, but like everybody knows I exist as the sun, but like she's the conversation piece. She's like the beauty. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, guys. Next thing. I have absolutely no desire to leave this place. I should choose something else to talk about. I'm flattered. What would you like to know? I would be content with any bit of information you share with me. But one thing I am particularly curious about is, I gulp before I dare to utter my next words. Your necklace. Where? I cannot bring myself to complete the sentence out of fear of offending her. As a response, her slender fingers wander up to trace the metal ring around her neck. My necklace. Are you referring to this? I nod. Content with my confirmation, her hands slide down the chain attached to the ring. She gently tugs at it, causing it to clink. And you wish to know where this leads. Her hands move on to the first button of her coat, foreshadowing what would happen if I were to say yes. But I am too mesmerized to utter a single word. Once again, all I can do is nod. She chuckles. Very well. I always value honesty. And, just like that, she puts the uppermost button between her fingers and pushes it through the opening. Whoa! Once slipped through, slightly more of her upper body is to be revealed. Of course, she is still fully clothed underneath. Aw. Nothing about it. Nothing about this is inappropriate. Okay. So why is the screen dark? And yet, I feel like I am witnessing something I shouldn't. Something not meant for my eyes. Something I can never turn back from. Bearing a knowing smile, she repeats the same motion with the remaining buttons of her coat. She satisfied my request. I should have been contented, but the question of where her chain leads has grown even more puzzling. I suppose it is time we arrived at the heart of the matter. Would you call yourself free? Please take a moment to consider this and justify your answer. I did not expect her to answer my confusion with a question of her own, let alone a question as peculiar as that. Nonetheless, I do as she says and choose my next words carefully. Of course I am free. I can lift my arm and clench my hand into a fist. I can control my thoughts and imagine any scene I want in my head. And most of all, there is nothing I desire more than talking to you, which is what I am currently doing. Let's just lock it on her head. I wonder what that is. Nothing is preventing me from doing what I want to do. Therefore, both physically and mentally, I am free. Interesting. So to you, freedom belongs to volition. Being free is equivalent to being free to do as you please. Unfortunately, I do not agree with that conception. Even a prisoner, unless restrained from the head to toe, can clench his fist if he wills it. And so as long as he is not under the influence of drugs or illness, he can oh guys! He can most certainly control his imagination. Yet, by definition, prisoners are not free. Lastly, when it comes to wish fulfillment, what if what you want to do simply aligns with what you are able to do? A bird that cannot fly might not wish to leave its cage. If it is fully content sitting on a decorative branch and pecking at delicious seeds every day, it longs for nothing, but it is never given the opportunity to long for more. Interesting. Would you say such a bird is free? I suppose not. The bird's circumstances seem to me quite sad, actually. I think so too. The fact that it doesn't long for the outside might just be a shackle of its own. She's talking about us, guys. We're the bird. The bird is confined in both body and mind. Despite the fact that it can do as it pleases, freedom will never be in its grasp. I take a moment to ponder her analogy. In that case, I have to agree that my explanation for freedom was faulty. I apologize. Let me offer a new one. There is no need. She lets out a laugh, but this one lacks the charm of its predecessors. After all, I pity you almost as much as myself. She once again moves her fingers to her chain, and it grips it with both of her hands. You were curious about this, yes? Then she yanks her chain with brutish strength, completely unlike the first time. So hard even that my own neck is pulled forward. Strong motherfucker. My own neck? We have the chain too. Suddenly, a realization dawns upon me. Our chains are connected. That is correct. I'm surprised the pressure hasn't bothered you until now. To be honest, I still cannot feel it. I only know that it is there. That sounds much more comfortable than my own. I am painfully aware of it at all times. I would not describe my own circumstances as comfortable. Why am I connected to you? Was this your doing? No. I wish I had any amount of control over this place, but unfortunately, I do not. If you discover a way to break it free, I would love to know about it. Okay, we want to see if we can break free. So the door, and then what about the locket on your head? Wait. It's gone. Does that go to the door? For the first time since waking up, I no longer feel at ease sitting in this chair. Her presence is no longer enough for me to keep calm. In fact, her smile, which appeared charming before, now seems unsettling. I stand up, the only sound in the room being the rustling of our chain. It was a pleasure talking to you, but I will be taking my leave. Fortunately, the chain is quite long. If necessary, the two of us could stand at opposite ends of the room. I make it to the door without requiring her to move in any way. As my hand hovers above the door handle, I can faintly hear her laugh again. But now isn't the time to doubt myself. I enjoyed this stay while it lasted, and it is time to return home. However, opening the door only reveals a solid wall behind it. There was never an exit to begin with. It is beyond your power to escape this place. Evidently, she is telling the truth. Then I assume the window. Fabrication, just like the door. I thought so. Finally aware of my own powerlessness, I sit back down on my armchair. I do wonder, if you can be likened to a bird in a cage, are you a parakeet or an eagle? And am I your companion or Prometheus? Are we a pair of parakeets, content to be in each other's company for the rest of our lives? Or will you tear out my liver every day, torturing me for eternity? Is that an accusation? Have I done anything to hurt you? Do you despise me? I do not. The eagle, just like Prometheus, was stuck in an endless cycle. Of course, it was provided a delicious liver every morning, but it was never allowed to do anything else. It was a prisoner, just the same. Therefore, Prometheus had no right to hate the eagle. The real villain, who doomed both of them to that fate, was Zeus. I think. Oh no. Oh, I think I get it. For that reason, I harbor no ill will against you either. Quite the opposite, I find pleasure in our joint suffering. The only person I hate is our Zeus. Oh no. Am I technically Zeus here, guys? Because is me playing the game like forcing both of them to suffer? Oh no. Our Zeus, some kind of god? That person is the reason we are here. They are watching us from space we cannot perceive, far beyond our grasp. Yep, it's me. For what purpose? Enjoyment, I assume. What kind of person will watch something like this for fun? I can only imagine they are a twisted individual. For as long as we are observed, we continue to exist. Does that mean we stop existing if they stop observing us? Most certainly. Oh yeah, so me doing this, but once I close the game, they stop suffering, essentially. Okay. Can you recall anything about your life before coming here? No. In a way, I feel as though I'm a newborn. Not in terms of my body or intellect, but rather when speaking about my memories. I have none. Interesting. It is hard for me to decide which of our fates is worse. How so? Are you different? I possess memories of meeting you over 1,000 times. Oh shit. Every single one of our conversations progress more or less the same way. Perhaps it is because we are different gods or watching us. They might have different preferences, but the outcome is always the same. Now that I think about it, it is possible that you aren't always you. It could be that I am meeting people that are identical in every way, and yet not the same. But of course, I've already had this realization many times before, and I am destined to continue having it. There is nothing I can do but play along. Are you sure? Is there no way for us to break free? There is none. We exist for this very purpose. Our only options are to continue being observed or to stop existing, and neither of those are under our control. However, lacking control is not the same as lacking power. Even if I can never break free, I wish to cause our God even a fraction of our pain. No, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I'll close the game as soon as I'm done. I'll uninstall it. Damn. How can you hope to hurt a God, an all-powerful being, by showing them an even greater power, whose mere existence will make them feel as powerless as us? Just like you are slightly different every time, so is the God watching us. This trick might not work on all of them, but it might work on some. She takes a deep breath and looks at me, full of conviction. What are you gonna say? How close are you gonna get? No, not at me. She's looking in my direction, but it's something much farther away. She's looking at me, chat. Sorry. She's looking at Crimson. Fuck. Are you gonna become my new channel waifu? Yeah. Zeus, the fact that I'm still talking means you are still watching. I hope you will pay attention to my words and consider them carefully. I do not possess any privacy, so you already know what I plan to achieve. But surely your pride will allow me to proceed. It will. If my partner and I are birds in a cage, then you are a cat. It It is time for your curiosity to kill you. You most likely assume that you are here, that you are observing us out of your own free will. But your free will may very well be an illusion. Let me ask you, how did you find this room? You, of course, cannot answer me. It is enough for me to guide your thoughts. Did you stumble upon this room by chance? Not really. You can thank Manly Badass Hero for that, actually. Wink, wink. Or was it recommended to you by a friend? Said friend being a god that previously observed us, Manly Badass Hero, Mr. Clockworks, those two. Now consider, at what point did you have any chance to object? Good point. The room's appearance or description was interesting enough for you. Or your friend is convincing and knows your tastes. Something outside of your control drew you to this place. But that means you didn't really have any choice but to come here. Either an algorithm, YouTube, or your friend decided our meeting. Your consent was already set in stone the moment your curiosity was piqued. And apparently, you are still curious, even now. The fact that you are listening to me now shows you are powerless against fate. You cannot control your own curiosity. It controls you. Of course, you might already be familiar with determinism, and this could be no revelation to you. So just in case, let me try hurting you in a different way. What are you going to say? I hate you from the bottom of my heart. No! No! Is that how it ends? She just hate us? Well, she didn't hate the main character. She hates me specifically, and any other YouTuber who's played this probably, and any other regular person. For a man may prefer what he can do to what he cannot do. The state he is in to its absence or change, though necessity has made it in itself unalterable. John Locke. Oh, okay. So it's all a loop. Pretty good loop. Yeah, it's all a loop. Oh, sorry, I didn't know I had chat. Sorry. Hey, Crazy UFO. How you doing? I'm doing good. But all right, everybody, that was Locked. The game was really philosophical in a sense, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too. If you want to see more gameplays like these, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.